This Ram truck is $92,000, and these two Ram trucks are $100,000. Check this out. All these trucks right here are heavily discounted 2022 Ram 1500s. Shipments for Jeep, Dodge, and Ram were down 20% in the US. And Stellantis is releasing 25 new vehicles this year, and guess what? 18 of them are EVs.
And unfortunately, days on the lot are typically double for Ram and Dodge product over the industry average.
And Stellantis is now coming out with a new EV charger. And it's not just the Rams that these dealerships can't sell. This is a 2022 Jeep Gladiator, and it's been marked down $15,000. Jeep, Dodge, and Ram dealerships are resorting to keeping more used inventory because their new inventory just is not selling. And Stellantis CEO just got a raise. He's now making $39 million. Does anyone out there consider Jeep a luxury brand? What? Nobody? Yeah, me either. And I'm at a Jeep dealership today because they just reported their earnings and they were terrible. And we continue to see more and more of this at these Jeep dealerships. And these earnings can signal a big time problem for Jeep, Dodge, Ram going forward, as well as their dealers. Mass layoffs are happening at these Ram plants. And if you have tons of trucks that aren't selling, production has to get cut. That means people have to get laid off. And now we have Sean Fain, the president of the UAW, absolutely blasting Stellantis for the recent decisions that they have made. Even in southern states right now, which has notoriously been anti-union, we are now seeing plants across the South that are voting to be a part of the UAW. States are passing laws right now to deter companies from unionizing. And we're seeing it right now. More UAW strikes on the horizon. See, and here's a big problem for Stellantis. See, I'm walking through rows and rows and rows of brand new trucks, but you know what? They're 2022, so they're almost 3 years old at this point. So check this out right here. I just talked to a salesperson at this Jeep Dodge Ram dealer, and they have these trucks. It says $60,000, but now they're selling them for 43 grand. And what he just told me is all of them right here, they're all 2022s. And he said they just want to get rid of them. They want to get them off their floor plan. And it's crazy that they're discounting these trucks this much, but they have to, because all these trucks that they have sitting right here, guess what? They have a storage lot where they have more of them. So Stellantis' sales were down by 12% during this quarter. And it's really no secret. We've been covering this for a very long time. We see Jeeps absolutely stacked everywhere. We see Ram 1500s. We still see 2022s that are on the ground right now. And now what's happening? Dealerships are turning down allocations. See, whenever a customer comes to this dealership and buys this Jeep, that's not a sale for Stellantis. So even though these dealerships have been hurting over the last 3, 4, 5 quarters, Stellantis has still been putting out good numbers. They have still had good earnings. But now, because these dealerships are so loaded up, they are turning down allocations. And these dealerships, where I'm at right now, this is Stellantis' customer. And now these customers are saying no, they can't buy these Jeeps anymore. And this right here, these deep sales that these dealerships are having to do them, they're forced to do it because these are 2022s. They had 2023s that they're still trying to sell, and now they're getting 2024s. Oh, but guess what? Just around the corner, we got 2025s that are coming onto these lots. And these trucks, they're 2022s. They have celebrated now almost 3 birthdays. And they haven't sold yet. All these trucks, they're still brand new, sitting on dealers' lots. Imagine the floor plan cost that just this one truck has cost this dealership over the last 3 years. Absolutely insane. All right, and check this out. We got some Jeeps here. This one has been marked down $15,000. This one's been marked down $8,000. This one's been marked down $8,000. And this one right here has been marked down $6,000. And these ridiculous prices that we're seeing from Jeep, Dodge, and Ram, it's not just here in the US. Let's check up in Canada.
This here is pretty typical for Canadian market. We get SUVs, pickup trucks, and it's not just Ram, Stellantis, Jeeps, and all of those. Although this is a great example. We look at this beautiful little Rubicon. Yes, this is a 4xe, absolutely gorgeous looking unit. And what we have here, Rubicon 4xe, and this retails for a big price of $85,000. That's huge money. But then you look down the lot, you get all kinds of Willys, base models, Saharas, you get all kinds. But a lot of these vehicles, they over flooded the market. People aren't buying them, there's just way too many, too much availability, and unfortunately, days on the lot are typically double for Ram and Dodge product over the industry average. Clearly not a good selling product, but the entire market is upside down. People are electing to go used. The new car prices are just way too high.
And what we're seeing is that Stellantis has laid off more people, and what they're citing is that it's due to higher labor costs. So here you go, UAW. You negotiate for this bigger contract, you get your workers paid. That's all well and good, but the cost of that are people's jobs. And on the consumer level, if it costs more to build all of these trucks because your labor, guess who's going to pay for that? The consumer is. The prices are going to continue to go up as wages continue to go up. So I want to show you one thing that I've noticed at this dealership in particular. I come here a lot. It's a good place for me to film. But if you see this whole line right here, these are all used vehicles. A lot of their new stuff is on that side over there. And then they have some brand new trucks on the other side in their used lot too. But what I've noticed over the last, I'll say 6 months, is a growing supply of used inventory. And I wonder if a lot of Stellantis dealerships in particular are going to go this route, because these dealerships that are able to buy these either at auction or to trade for these cars and then keep them, instead of what they would regularly do, send them to auction to get them off their lot so they can make a space for a brand new vehicle. If they're finding that these used vehicles, they're going to make a lot more money on them, and they can sell them a lot easier than they can sell their new stock, because what we know is that Stellantis, the vehicles aren't moving. Days of inventory is going up and up and up and up. I wonder if we continue to see the shift of these new car dealers wanting to sell more used cars because there's more money in it, and there's probably a higher demand for products that are 2 and 3 years old, just because consumers can't afford that kind of thing right now. And they can't afford that Wagoneer that's $80,000. They can't afford that Grand Jeep Cherokee now that's $60,000, $70,000. They can't afford all of these new vehicles that are getting pumped out by Stellantis. They agree with me. You hear that? All right, so we're seeing that Stellantis is putting out 25 new vehicles this year, and of those, 18 of them are going to be EVs. And here is the problem. Can Stellantis not look at the market and see what companies like Ford, what's happening at Ford? Ford is hemorrhaging money on these Mach-E's, on these F-150 Lightnings, because no one is buying them. So what do you think is going to happen, Stellantis, when you're putting out 18 of 25 new vehicles that are EVs? What we're finding here in the US, other than a Tesla, nobody wants to buy these EVs. They're not going to buy them from Ford. They're not going to buy them from GM. And you know what? They're definitely not going to buy them from Stellantis. All right, so check it out right here. We got a full line right here. Challengers, Chargers, muscle cars. So what do you think of when you think of a Charger or a Challenger? What is it? It's that's what it is. It is American muscle. So now what do you think about when you think about EV? Well, you think about plug-in. You think about a toaster, right? So this is just another example of showing that Stellantis does not know what their consumer wants. These Chargers, these Challengers, these are the backbone of American muscle. The consumer who is going to buy one of these things, they want to put gas in it. And as we've seen from a brand like Ford, where they made the Mustang Mach-E, what is the problem that we're seeing? Dealers cannot sell these things. And I really feel like we're going to go the same route with these EV Chargers. And Stellantis should already be able to read the room. They should be able to read the market to see that consumers here in the US do not want that. So now what I think is going to happen is you're going to see a lot of these Challengers, these Chargers, when they do go to EV, they're going to be sitting on lots, not making toast, just sitting here. And so now all of these layoffs, they're happening while the CEO of Stellantis just got a raise. He is now making $39 million a year. So obviously the UAW is a little perturbed about this. They are not happy. They're laying off people while their CEO is getting a raise. So here's one of the massive problems that I see with Jeep going forward. See, they have really rebranded themselves over the last few years as being more of a luxury brand, charging luxury prices, making these big Wagoneers, the Grand Wagoneers, these $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 vehicles. But really, they're getting away from their base. What is Jeep known for? Jeep is known for Wranglers. They're known for hard working American vehicles. That's who wants to drive these vehicles. But you know what? They're getting away from that. They're getting away from their base, and they've changed who they want their base to be at the worst possible time when we're going into a demand crunch. And when you're doing that and you're throwing away your base, then you're losing a lot of the consumers that are loyal to your brand, and you need those consumers when times get tough. And we're in a hard time right now, and this is a massive mistake that Jeep is going to have to live with. And you know who else is going to suffer from this? Not only Jeep the brand, but their dealerships too. So now we have more strikes coming out of these plants for Stellantis. This is from Michigan, and it's concerns over health and safety. This is a small thing. They're not doing a walkout. They have just authorized this strike to happen. But what we're going to see is over the next few years, while we have Sean Fain as the president of the UAW, and he's able to really push what the UAW has been pushing over the last couple years, is better conditions for the workers, more money. We're going to see more strikes. We're going to see more issues and more fights between the UAW and these manufacturers because they've been able to do it over the last couple years, so they're going to continue to do it. So we have a Mercedes-Benz plant right now in Alabama that's conducting a vote to decide whether or not they're going to be a part of the UAW. And what's coming back from Mercedes-Benz is a lot of negative, a lot of anti-union rhetoric that is getting communicated to a lot of their laborers. Obviously, Mercedes-Benz does not want this plant to become unionized. Obviously, it's going to cost them a lot more money in labor if this plant does unionize. So unionizing of these companies is so polarizing. You even have states right now that are passing laws to really deter a lot of these companies from voluntarily recognizing these unions. So what these laws are saying is that if a company recognizes that they are unionizing, then they are going to withhold economic incentives to the companies that are coming directly from the state. And these states withholding those incentives is basically saying to the companies, hey, if you're going to unionize, we don't want you here, because some states are going to give these companies that are unionizing incentives. So it makes sense for a company to move their plants, to move their laborers to these states that are more union friendly. Yeah, so I just had a salesperson walk up to me. Have this happen quite often now. But yeah, if you ever see me at your dealership, your salesperson, come up, talk to me. I want to know what's going on. He said at this dealership in particular, they've been moving through their trucks pretty well. And they don't have any 2022s like we saw at the other dealership. They're still trying to get rid of some 2023s. They've got some 2024s here on the ground and got 2025s coming in. So that's something that they're going to have to deal with here at this particular dealership. One thing that was interesting here that he said is that they had someone, like Fleet Company, order 200 of like those vans. Let me show you right here. These they're like transit vans in Ford speak. I don't know what they're called in Ram, but ordered 200 of them and then backed out. So now they got to figure out what to do with them. They're trying to figure out where to sell them. They're going to still fleet them out, but this is stuff that dealerships have to deal with right now that they haven't had to deal with in 2.5 years, like customers backing out on major, massive orders. Yeah, all these dealerships, they have problems, they have issues. Some are different than others. Some have old models, some have backouts. There's just a lot of issues going through the car market with a lot of these dealers, especially at these Stellantis dealers. You're seeing because Stellantis is not adding a lot of help to these dealers, and these dealers have been screaming for help. They need help from Stellantis, or you're going to see problems just like this. You're going to see 2022 still sitting on the ground. That's what's happening right now. And it's not just the trucks that these shipments for Stellantis we're down. Even in southern states right now, which has plane. Shipments were down in the U.S. for Stellantis. Nope, we're down 20%, right?